We are live.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Happy International
Hello.
Women's Day. I'm
爸爸，情人节快乐！
I have Jolene.
，Yes，女神节快乐！
Hi, Jolene. I have Maybelline on live with me, and we are here tonight for a heart-to-heart talk. So tonight we want to share about our unique background and also our stories, and it's all about women empowering women and how we actually overcome our challenges with our very strong whys and also our resilience. So I want to
Mm,
start with Maybelline. So Maybelline, please
sure.
introduce yourself.
So hi, Jolene. Hi, Irene. Right. Thank
Hi,
you so much
Mabel.
for your time this evening. And 很碰巧的是, we are all 金牛座 today doing this Go Live together, right? Women empowering women. Just so happen all of us are Taurus. So hi, my name is Maybelline. Good evening, everyone watching our Go Live right now. I'm from Singapore. Currently a stay-home mother to two children. Yeah, that's me. So prior online business, prior running this online business, I was a full-time working mother. I used to work in the hotel industry for 13 years and left my career in year 2018. Yeah.
Well, Maybelline, I mean, leaving your full-time career in 2018, something happened. I mean, we all know about your background, and
Mm.
there is something that has struck you, and also to go into this online business. You know, we don't just quit our job overnight. So maybe you want to tell us a bit more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed there's something that happened in my life in year 2018 that kind of like made me decided that I will leave my hotel career. Though at the year 2018, I was at the peak of my corporate career. I worked hard for 13 years from being a receptionist all the way to a revenue reservations manager. That's what I aspire to be. Ultimately, that was my career goal. And that very same year, when I attained that position that I worked so hard for more than a decade, it was also the same year that my son Tyler was diagnosed with leukemia. That came maybe like a few months into my new role in that position. And it really came as a total shock to all of us in the family because he was only like 1.5 year old. We really didn't know what to expect. And when the doctor broke that kind of shocking news to me, I was in tears. I don't know what to expect. And I'm thinking whether um, would he be in danger? Is it like would he leave us, that kind of feeling because I really don't know. And that time we decided between me and my husband that I volunteered to quit and leave my corporate career so that there can be one parent to be there with Tyler throughout his whole cancer journey. Because he's still so young and the chemotherapy treatment, the drugs that the doctor is going to give cannot be too strong. Therefore, the whole treatment will take 2.5 years. That's why I decided that I want to be with him throughout, and therefore I quit my job. Oh yeah, this is
Hi,
Tyler. Oh hi
Tyler.
Tyler. Tyler, say hi. Hi.
Hi. So,
Yes.
Mabel,
Okay. Thank you.
I want to ask, I'm quite curious, because at that point of time when this shocking news was
Mm,
given to you, it was also at the peak of your career and you just
mm,
received, so-called you just got promoted. So how
that's
did
right.
you how did you break the news to the management, as in, like, how was it like breaking the
Mm,
news to them? You just took on this new role only, and then because of this, you have
yeah.
to quit. Yeah.
It was very hard, and I also felt not so good about it. I actually quite paiseh also how to break the news. Was just barely like 3 months into my new role and in a new environment. It's a new hotel that I now started my career no, my this new position in. So that time I did anyhow have to let my GM know that my son was going through this, and he was very understanding. And because no, he himself is also a parent, so he said, "Don't worry. Why not like Mabel? we are going to give you a laptop, set up everything so that you can work remotely. So he did the arrangement for me. And at that time, I know that I still remember I wasn't able to go back to the office to even like do clearance or to like, get the laptop so that I can work remotely from home. So my IT manager back then actually sent the laptop to me at my doorstep so that I could work remotely at home. So he installed some software so that I could get access to our hotel network so that I can continue to work and access reports. Uh, this is really exceptions that I think they did for me because being a hotelier for so long, the previous hotels that I worked with, there's no way we should or could access hotel data remotely because of the sensitivity. But I think because of the very unique or very the situation that I am in, he did seek the approval from the owner to do this for me, and they did that for me. And I was doing that for like 2 months, working from home and then caring for Tyler, like to and fro hospital and all that. It was very, very tiring for me. Very tiring because I cannot focus on my work. To be honest, I'm still very worried about Tyler's condition because like I mentioned earlier, I don't even know that is it going to be life threatening or not, and I don't know what to expect.
So
And now that you
So
share, you were actually the pioneer in, hybrid remote work, because in 2018, that was even before the pandemic struck. So you were one of the first
yeah,
ones to start, doing hybrid work arrangement. So
yes,
I'm
in
I'm
a
sure it
way,
was also a struggle because it's something so new to you, right? For this kind of work
yes.
arrangement.
It was really difficult because I have to start learning how to communicate over screen as well. So yeah, at that time I did that for like 2 over months, but I find that it's very tiring for me. I cannot focus and it's not fair for my employer. I think they should deserve a better revenue manager to help them to manage the hotel because myself, I'm only like 50% with the hotel, right? And I can't split myself. So in the end, I told my GM that I think I want to leave and you should get somebody full time that can fully focus. So he was nice, he understands and he said, sure, right? And he waived off my like 2 months notice. So I didn't
That's
serve any notice and they allow me to just go and settle what I need to at that time. So I'm actually very, very grateful for this GM of mine and also the owner of that hotel who really understand what I went through. It's really unfortunate that things like that have to happen. But a lot of time, you see, at that time, like when this thing happened, I was quite angry. I was very frustrated. Why is it happening? I worked so hard and then suddenly things like that has to happen and put me in a very difficult spot. Like I have no choice but to choose this. But a lot of times things are like that. Maybe years down the road, which is now, then I realized that whatever I went through about 6 years ago could be like a blessing in disguise for me. Often it's how resilience, that kind of perseverance we have in ourselves, how we respond to all this unfortunate things that happen, unforeseen things that happen in our life, uh, shape us to where we are today, also determine the kind of path that we chose in our life today. Yeah.
yeah, so Maybelline, I remember you sharing with me, this particular quote that you like to
Mm,
share also, like the reaction to adversity, and I honestly have to give it to you because not many people will be able to make a decision, there and then when the company has made exceptions for you, but you know exactly what is your priority then, and Tyler was definitely your priority, while you were
mm,
upset and asking why is it me, or why is this situation like that where I have worked so hard for it,
mm,
um but you didn't give up. So the most important thing is that you really went through the hardship of taking care of Tyler, especially as you mentioned he had leukemia, right? So I'm very
Mm.
sure the process of healing, the process of recovery was a tough one. So maybe you can share with us a little bit more on the process that Tyler went through and
Yes.
what you went through as well.
Yeah, I would love to share because I believe a lot of other mothers who may be watching the Go Live now or I'll replay later on would definitely have special needs children that they need to take care. And mothers, parents with special need children, you know that there are a lot of time and effort and patience you need to exercise to go through the journey with them. So during that 2.5 years when I was with Tyler, it was tough. Apart from going to the hospital like 3 times a week, and then every 4 weeks, he needs to be admitted for high dose chemotherapy, and we have to stay there for like a week. Yeah, and that goes on for like 2.5 years. I even have to learn cooking for him to cook for him at home. I don't cook before, but because leukemia, there's a di- our the dietitian mentioned that he cannot eat too much of outside food because he needs to eat food that is prepared and don't eat straight away. Cannot like outside if you buy food, they more often pre-cook it already, and then it's not very healthy, especially for cancer patient. They are afraid that there will be bacteria that will cause like infection. So yes, I prepare all his meals for him, and it's really like home cook, and I prepare every meal. I cannot cook like in advance for him as well. So very tiring. That the whole period that I went through, and then he was also on a drugs called what's that drug called? It's a steroid. Suddenly can't remember what's the name. But when he take that drug, right, he will get so hungry every 2 hours. So basically, I am feeding him like every 2 hours, and he will be so bloated during that period. Dexa. Oh, Dexa, yeah. Here just yeah, Dexa. So this chemo drug that he took, Dexa, is a form of steroid. So whenever he took that drug, oh, he'd be so hungry every 2 hours. So I have to keep cooking. Basically, like after cooking, wash up, okay, cook, and then for that one whole month because that the Dexa dosage is meant for a month. Wow, that whole month he can blow up another 3 kilo, and
Mm.
you cannot see like this is Tyler anymore. Wow, his cheek is so bloated, and you can't see his eyes. It's like two lines. Really very tough. And then the first year was the intense chemotherapy, and then the second year is like maintenance. So when we move into the maintenance phase, it's slightly better. So we start sending him to school because he's already 4 year old, about three or 4 year old there. And then he start attending special school for cancer children. So he attended school, and because he has not attended school before, right? He was diagnosed at 1.5 year old. So there were a huge developmental gap that he has to went through. His fine motor skills, his gross motor skills were so lag behind children of his age. He couldn't write, he couldn't speak or talk even at 3 year old. That is something that I have to go through, and I find it extremely worrying. Apart from worrying about his health, taking care of no treating his leukemia, I have to also worry about him as a child not hitting his developmental milestones. So we see a lot of specialists, speech therapy, go through physiotherapy, and then ultimately do ABA therapy to train his fine motor skills so that he can write. Finally, we enrolled him into early intervention center, which we waited for about 6 months. He went in there to catch up and close his developmental gap. So all these things are a lot of shuffling to and fro, a lot of waiting time, and he's not independent, so I have to be waiting there to feed him his lunch after his lesson. Then after lesson, we go to early intervention classes so that he could close his developmental gap. So a lot of time we are always on the road. I'm always outside, and it's very tough, yeah, during that period. And then he started attending mainstream kindergarten when he was 5 year old K1. So thank God, like he's considered okay to attend K1 at age 5 year old, which is like other children. But still, I wouldn't say that his developmental gaps are all closed, but at least it's still within acceptable range. So that whole period, I went through a lot of stress because we went to also the hospital, the Children Developmental Center, and they were diagnosing his developmental, like his milestones. Is he hitting all these milestones? And they even think or suggest that he could be autistic. Wow, that really scared me a lot, a lot. I was like, wow, so much to go through. Already like going through his leukemia, going through a lot of like therapies. Now you are telling me autistic, and they want me to go through the test, the autistic test, which I didn't want to. So I suggest, could we go for like maybe option two, go for the early intervention and then see if that can closes the gap, because he, after all, has not attend school or socialize or like do anything that a child of his age should do. So I don't think we should just like immediately diagnose him as autistic because of those milestones not met. Yeah, so that was really a very stressful period that I went through with Tyler, but thank goodness he's all well and recovered now. Mm.
Yeah, especially at the age when Tyler is so young, I think he would, all this whatever is happening to him would be very foreign to him as well. And
Yes.
he might be feeling frustrated as well as to like
Mm.
why he might be different from other children. And
Yes.
so times like this, I'm sure he has expressed his frustration, but then on your end as a parent, as a mother, you also had to handle your emotions, whatever
Yes.
stress, whatever emotions, you could not express it in front of him. I'm very sure. So can
Yes.
you share with us? I mean, it takes a lot of strength, a lot of resilience to handle this special situation. So how did you actually overcome this emotional
Yes,
stress?
it's
Mm.
very stressful. Like just thinking about the whole thing that I went through, I also don't know where the strength comes from, honestly. So when on that very day when the doctor break the news to us that he was diagnosed with leukemia, wow, I cried. I cannot stop crying. And on that night, I cried nonstop. I screamed, I cried like really my eyes out, my heart out. And then I promised myself this will be the last cry I will be, crying because of this situation, because there's no it's not helping by crying, you see. So that night I cried really bad. The next day he has to undergo his first chemotherapy. I have to put up a brave front in front of him, even though I'm feeling so sad and scared. But I cannot let him know that I'm feeling that way, because he might then feel even more scared about what he has to go through. So every time when I see him, I have to smile and make sure that he feel comfortable and he doesn't know that he's going through something quite serious, all right, that normal people, children of his age, are not going through. So yes, good thing is that time he was only like below 2 year old. So he has no recollection of what has happened. Like now, when I asked him, so that could be a blessing in disguise. If he has diagnosed a bit later, like he can better articulate himself or like show his emotion, I think that would be very tough. And then he will be starting to compare himself with his friends, his peers. Why is he different? But good, thank goodness that time he hasn't attend school, so there's nobody to compare, and he also didn't know what is right and what is normal and what is like not so normal, right? So that was something that I think like a saving grace for us. Yeah, he went through the needles, the everything, but I think good thing is because he don't remember, so I don't have to deal with his kind of emotion. It's just mainly cries, uncomfortable, which we know how to handle him, but nothing like he feel inferior of himself versus like children of his age. So thankful for that. Yeah. So yeah, so he's recovered now, and we are very happy that he has no recollection of what happened. And in fact, this afternoon, we just went to the oncologist for his quarterly review. all his blood count, it's all okay. So far so good. It's like coming 4 years, his cancer in remission. Yeah.
That's good.
God.
Then how about especially when you had to suddenly quit your job to care for
Mm,
Tyler on a full-time basis because you had to shuttle to between home and the hospital so much. That means you suddenly had to deal with one active source of income that is gone. And I'm sure
mm,
it actually took on a toll for both you and Ian because the
yes.
hospital bills, the consultation, all the treatment must have cost a lot too. So
Yes.
how did you deal with this sudden loss of income?
Mm. It was something that is very hard to face, right? To drop an income like a 50% drop suddenly in our household. So what we did that time was we sold our car so that we could have more cash flow. We downgraded our house to a 3-room flat so that we could have more money as well, more cash flow to handle the day-to-day needs, right? Because of the drop of income, but the bills every month we still have to pay. So we are downgrading all things that we can, like to forego the luxuries that we think we once had, so that we could still get by and pay the bills without landing ourselves in debts. So that was what we went through that period of time, when this thing happened suddenly. Yeah, which takes a lot of courage again, because we will also be afraid, like people, people, our friends, our peers of our age at 30s, usually doing quite well in their career, have a stable job. You always see people around you upgrading their property, right?
Right.
From HDB maybe to a condo, to maybe a landed. But we that time seeing ourselves like doing worse and worse, like so worse off, like getting poorer and poorer because of our circumstances. So that time a bit of imbalance there. It's like 又不是我想要的 because of the situation that happened. It causes a lot of things. We have to readjust ourselves, to just make sure that we are all still living comfortably together. So yeah, that was what we went through that
I
time
think
with the income drop.
honestly,
Yeah.
honestly, I feel that at the end of the day, we make our decisions based on our situation. As
Yes.
parents, especially, we don't want our kids to fall sick. It's not a choice.
Yes.
But
Of
if it
course.
happens
Yeah.
and we have to make those decisions, I mean, I honestly, I think you have been awesome because not many people can understand because is I always like to say that if the Chinese always say 针没有扎到肉是不会痛的 right?
真的.
Because you not
Yes.
know how the
Mm.
other party is feeling and what they're going through. So it's so important not to be judgmental. I realize
Yes.
it
Exactly.
tonight. And many a times, yeah, like you said, because people around you would be doing things that are advancing, and
Yeah.
for me, what am I doing? So we ask a lot of such question. But you know what, Maybelline, whatever that you have given up, whatever that you have, sacrificed, but you see Tyler happy, you see Tyler going
Yes.
through the mainstream, and I think that is the best outcome. And anything that you have sacrificed back then is all worth it. And that's all
Mm.
that and you're doing so
Yes.
well now.
Thank you so
Yes.
much, Irene. Really,
Yeah.
it's really a tough journey I've come, you know. But yes, I'm really happy with how everything turns out now. Like I mentioned, it's really a blessing in disguise, because have it not been what happened to Tyler, there's no way I would have the courage to leave my corporate career. I would probably still be in my corporate career. Who knows? Maybe I was retrenched during the COVID time, we won't know. But at least when I left in 2018, it was because of this specific reason, not because I was being retrenched, but
Yeah.
also because of what I went through. It just gives me more strength now to handle things in life. I felt reborn. I felt stronger now. Like there's nothing that I can't do, or at least whatever challenges that I face now, I look for solution right away. because there will always be a solution more than the problems itself, right? So it kind of changed my perspective, how to handle things after going through the downs in my life. And precisely the reason Tyler, uh, he's really a very strong warrior. Such a young child overcoming cancer. He inspired me to start something from scratch, which I am totally not familiar with, like in the online space. I am doing it for him. It's because of him. That's why I'm here, so that I can be there really for him, taking care of all his needs and be the present mom that I wasn't able to back then when I was working in the hotel. Yes.
Well,
Now you're on fire.
yeah.
Yes, thank
Okay,
you,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much, Evelyn.
Yes.
I mean, very inspired by what you have gone through. It's at the end of the day not just a story. It is something that people need to hear. People need to know that certain
Right.
journey or certain circumstances you don't need to go through it alone. There are people who had gone through it before, and it's always good
Yes.
to reach out. Right.
Agree.
Thank you so much. And now we have Jolene, who is smiling so widely right now. I'll give you the stage and you can introduce yourself and tell us more.
Hi everyone, my name is Jeline. I am from Singapore also, a mother of two children, a girl who is 12 this year going through her major PSLE. It's a big milestone for me, not so much for her. And then a 10-year-old boy. Yeah. So yeah, I guess for me, my story would be, how I overcome the challenge would be more of like, okay, for I think most of you don't know because I also haven't really shared before, but I started working as early as I was 14, like 半工半读. Really that kind of like after school go to work. In my school uniform, I got to change
Oh.
I started my first job in Bata, so I have to like change inside the warehouse and then after that come out, things like that. So I started working part-time since 14, but I once I finished my O levels, I actually didn't progress further. I didn't go ahead with any my results weren't good enough to go into JC. And then and I was given the course, nursing course. Uh, that was my last choice. That how we have 6 choices last time, and I
Yeah.
thought I wouldn't be so sway to get the last choice, right? So I didn't know what to put ready, so I just put nursing. Or who knows, sway, maybe that time the government was in need of nurses and healthcare professionals. I really got into nursing, and I had to turn that down because auntie is very scared of blood and needles. So nursing is not something I can even consider. So I had to give it up. So what happened is that I started going full time, working full time at the age of 17. So I started working in the childcare, the preschool sector, as an educator, as a preschool teacher, as early as the age of 17. So at that point of time, it was very challenging because, like what Maybelline say, how people will look at us. So at that point of time, in my time, years ago, you can know how old I am. Years ago, having such a young teacher, somehow I have the face of like an alien, right? So having a young teacher was a challenge because parents will be looking at me with a different, they will be like eyeballing me. You sure you can take care of my kid or not? You are almost like a child yourself. And then are you sure you
Yes.
can do it? Moreover, I was always entrusted with, because I haven't started going through the proper early childhood care and education, all these certifications and training yet. So I was always given the youngest group, where is they call it the play group, which is the 18 months
Playgroup.
to the 3-year-olds. Yeah, the 18 months to 1.5-year-old, two-year-old. So then, the parents, this is the stage whereby, the parents are most kanchong about the kids for this age group.
Yes.
And yet they see a young alien like that, look alike, taking care of their child. So I was always faced with a lot of like judgment, I had to work extra hard to show people that, don't judge, don't judge me by my
Yes.
look. I can do it. So it took a while.
Yes.
And moreover, because I started my career as early as 17 and only with a O-level cert at that time,
Mm.
I have to go through the, like, oh, you are only holding an O-level cert. I can only pay you this much because O-level certification, you look at the table, you are not getting, you are not able to, I would, they always say very nicely, I wish I could pay you more, but, by standard, you are
Yeah,
only,
that's
I'm
the
only allowed
case.
to pay
Yeah.
this much.
You know,
So I
like
only
the
started at the
yeah.
salary of $700 back then. And
Okay.
yeah, so I had to work extra hard to show people that yes, I do just only have an O-level cert, but I am capable enough to perform, to excel in my role. But
Mm.
sad to say, no matter how hard you work or how much you put in, working hard, I realized over the years as I age, I realized that working hard in the eyes of the society is not good enough. Because in the eyes of the society, 现实还是, they are still quite 现实. So they will always,
残酷的.
yeah, very 残酷, very cruel. So they will
Mm.
always, even when you try to advance, like I switched from the preschool sector. After that, I went to events management, events planning. And then after that, I went over to, when I settled down, after I got married and have children, I had to switch to a desk-bound job
Mm.
so that I can still care for my children. So no matter how many jumps I had over the years since the age of 17, there was only so much they could pay me just because, at interviews, when they go through your resume and the form that you fill out, oh, okay, we will let you know if you are selected for a second interview, but just to let you know that in terms of pay wise, remuneration wise, we can only pay you this much if you are selected because you are only holding an O-level cert. So again, I'm always in the corporate world. I'm always being, the O-level cert that I have is like a heavy brick that is on my shoulders.
Mm.
It's like every time I go
Agree.
for an interview, it's like, okay, I'm going to be hearing this thing about my O-level cert again. So they don't go according to they judge my capability based on my paper,
Your
that piece of
papers. Yeah,
paper. Yeah. So
exactly.
it doesn't matter how experienced I am in my role or how good I am
Mm.
in my role. So I always have to start low and then I work extra hard. I work harder than people and then trying to prove that, I'm
Mm.
worth your money. But yet, no matter how hard I work, I realize that working hard is not the solution because
Yes.
you will still be judged by, in the corporate world, you will still be, evaluated by your paper qualifications and not so much about your performance or your capability.
So
Yeah,
how do
so
you
that
feel
was.
then, Jolene?
Hmm?
How do you felt? Like you came out to work at the age of like 17, right? And then all the jobs that you went through, it's always because you're at O level and then there's this so much you can pay. So how do you felt about it and how did you overcome that kind of stigma that people have on you because of that paper qualification not met? How do you juggle that kind of emotions within yourself? It must be really tough, right? To be like being like looked down in a way
Hmm.
because I'm just a O level graduate. So how did you overcome that whole thing throughout that
Yeah,
your whole
I went through
career path?
I went through a lot of like down time. There were many down
Yes.
times in my life because like what my children always grumble to me nowadays, so unfair. It's not fair. So I always have this thinking, I'll be like screaming inside me every time I come out from an interview. It's like, oh, it's so unfair. It's the O-level cert again, But at
Yes.
that same time, I was past the age of I was also by then I also had devoted my time when I was in the early childhood sector for 7 to 8 years. I also went through the early childhood care and educational certification. So I was studying back then, but it was only for a job in that sector. So once I
Right.
came out from that sector and tried, going to a brand new industry, those qualifications become like toilet paper. It's worthless.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, I am back to having just an O-level cert. So it's always, it feels very frustrating because it's like, why are you judging me based on paper qualification? Am I not worth more than that? How much must I do, or how hard must I work to prove to you that I'm worth more than that? So I realized that after working so long in the corporate world, I realized that I couldn't get that anywhere, not in the corporate world, definitely. So that is when I started thinking to myself, I need to start something on my own. Only when I am my own boss, then am I able to know how capable I am, how much I am worth. So that's where I decided,
Yes.
I started trying everything that I could think of. So yeah, I started trying little things, little ventures on my own to be my own boss so that I decide how much I'm paid. You are not going to decide,
Mm.
and I'm not going to pay myself based on just a whole level cert. I'm worth more than that. So that's what I did.
Yeah,
Mm,
exactly, exactly. I totally feel you, Jeline, because you mentioned that after you switch from the preschool sector to another industry, basically the qualification that you have worthless, right? Because that is just a mismatch in skill set for the next job that you went for interview. I
mm,
went through similar thing, case situation like you as well, because of what happened to Tyler. So after he recovered 2.5 years later, I wanted to go back to the hotel industry to work again, right? To get back the income and then gain like dual income for the family. But
mm,
I was belated during the interview by the interviewer because he mentioned that I have not worked for that 2 over years, coming 3 years, and therefore I am like disconnected from the world, from the
so he
corporate
can't pay you
world.
this
He can't pay me this much and he tried
much.
to
See?
bring me down. And I felt very unfair, unjust
Mm,
because it's not because I quit not on my own accord, but at least show me some empathy there. And based on the like decade of experience I have in hotel, you are offering me something ridiculously low. Like I felt so bad about myself as well. So I didn't take up the offer. Like I don't think this is someone that I want to work for. So I am with you on this. Like we define our self-worth. We don't want people to judge us or pay us based on what they think we are, right? So yes, go carve out our our new career path or whatsoever that you think could allow us to shine, that could give back what we deserve. Yeah.
mm. Yeah, so I'm glad that's what I did. Yeah, even though it didn't, I was actively looking for options to try and be my own boss. So of course it
Mm,
is I wasn't successful in the first try, but after many tries, I finally made it. And after starting this online business, this digital business, I was really, really blessed because I didn't have to feel like I'm not worth, because in this business I felt so worthy. It's like I started out being totally lack of confidence. It's like, how am I going to introduce myself? But in this business, I didn't have to introduce to people that I only have an O-level cert. In fact, this, how I feel, there's really a very big mindset change, because last time, to tell people that I only have an O-level cert was something that I felt very ashamed of, even when it comes to introduction amongst friends or acquaintances.
mm,
But these days, in my business, I'm so proud to say that I only have an O-level cert, but look what this business has blessed me with. With an O-level cert, I actually earned my first five-figure with this
yes,
business, and this is an amount that I will never be able to achieve if I was still working in the corporate world, no matter how many years I'm struggling or I'm
exactly.
working hard. Working hard didn't get me there, and I would never be able to achieve this amount if I actually stay on in the corporate world. So I'm very thankful that, with this business, I'm no longer ashamed of telling people that I only have O level cert. In fact, this is my strength now, to tell people that I only have an O level cert, and you can make it in this business with just an O level cert. Even, in
Yes.
fact, certification is not, you're not going to be judged by your certification or your paper qualification with this business. Yeah, so I'm
Yes.
very
You're
thankful.
going to inspire more people,
Yeah.
right? To be able to step up.
In fact, yes, Jolene, thank you for taking that step because you're such a wonderful leader that we can learn from. At this point,
Mm.
being only 7 months into the business, I think there's so much to learn from you. And
Thank you. I'm
I
still
really like
learning.
I really like the fact that you're fearless. I mean, and also taking the courage to step up and to, come up to do your own business because everybody is afraid of something.
Mm,
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
will I
Actually, I
fail?
think Yeah, actually, I think it's not that I wasn't it's not that I was fearless because it for me it still took a lot of courage for me to venture into the online space. But I just want to share this quote, by Ambrose Raymond, that courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the judgment that something else is more important than fear. So
Mm.
for me at that time, it's not that I wasn't fearful, I was, but there was something that was bigger than the fear I had. And that made me want to, like what you say, when our why is strong enough, we are able to make a difference, we are able to make a change. And because I have a why that was bigger than my fear, that's why I went beyond that and I had the courage to start. So yeah.
Yes. And you prove it. It can be done,
Thank
right?
you.
When you know your why, you will figure out your how in
Yes,
a way.
yes. And that's pretty much
Exactly.
my story today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing, Jelly. I didn't hear this part of the story from you before, and I'm
Yeah,
really very touched with what
thank you.
you
Thank
shared.
you. How
Mm.
about Irene? Irene, come tell us your story.
Okay. I'm Irene from Singapore too. I am a mother to two young kids, age 8, and my little one is 8.5 months old.
Oh,
Um, So many sleepless nights still ongoing. But okay, so I was previously from the banking and finance industry. So I left after a good 13 years to focus on my daughter who was going to primary school and also to recuperate on my health. So
what a coincidence. Maybelline 13 years hotel,
Yeah,
then
I
you
was
13 years
I was
banking.
just about to say as well. Also 13, right? Is it like the
Yeah.
magic number here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
I'm sorry I interrupted you. Irene, please go ahead. Continue.
it's
Sorry, sorry.
okay. Yeah, so I left behind my 13 years corporate position. Wasn't easy because I was also just promoted. The
Mm,
promotion is always, first quarter of the year, right? And I left my position in April. So it was a hard decision, but I know that I had to make a choice because I really crave a time with my firstborn and I want to prioritize my health for family planning. We always wanted to have a second one, but in the 7 8 years gap, we just things just didn't happen because my health wasn't really in tip top, and so yeah. I just wanted to have a lot more time with my daughter also to be with her every step of the way so that she can have me, in totality, 100%. Yeah.
mm,
So in between, like I said, my health wasn't really good. I had two miscarriages. Uh, Time was tough during that period because I still had to work. The hospitalization leave was 2 weeks. But me being me, I wanted to also use work to drown my sadness.
mm.
Um, I was back
And
to work
Taurus,
in
Taurus are
Taurus.
all workaholics.
Parents are all the same. So even though I was on 2 weeks hospitalization leave, right, I was constantly on my laptop. Yeah, and people ask me, "Oh, you're away, but why are you still online?" and things like that. I'll say, "Oh, I just want to clear some stuff," but actually, it's just to drown myself in work. Because going through two times doesn't mean that the second time gets easier.
Of
It's
course.
still it's still as tough.
Yes.
So like Maybelline, she took time to, really vent out, cried out, shout, and all. But I couldn't. I'm the type that I will just quietly, my tears will quietly roll down. Yeah. So it took me about 9 months to really have a closure to my first miscarriage episode. Yeah. So over the years, I really learned a very valuable lesson is that you we need to have plan Bs lah honestly, because when I decide to leave, I left with the thought that I just want to be with my girl. But you also need to understand that reality steps in. You also need money at the end of the day. So when I look at the market job market condition, right, there is no stability, there's no security how it used to be. I get also a little bit scared.
Yeah,
Right? So
that's
there's
true.
so
You
many.
see, like starting of this year, right? So many restructuring going on, and
Hmm.
it's really scary to learn about all this.
So, a side hustle actually can support us when the regular work falls short, especially when I left my position, my corporate position, right? My second darling came. When you make the difficult choice to step away from work, and then that was 2021. So, baby came 2023, right? So,
Best present
then,
ever.
huh?
Best gift you could have.
Exactly. So it really gave me a chance to recuperate on my health, and then I could really have my second one that I prayed for. And then so the difficult choice came again, to step away from work. Right, because I left work because of my daughter going to primary school, and then I was doing financial services, and then now it's really a choice to make again because it's a mix of mother's guilt as well as overwhelming desire not to miss the milestones. I already miss my girls, right? So now I don't want to miss that first steps and those first smiles and first cross. Then it's very tough again because I needed something more like a safety net. I think it's Taurus. Taurus always want to be very safe, want to have, that backup plan,
Secure.
very
Yeah.
secure. So the extra pocket for funds is something that I was looking for. And then so it happened. I started the business. Um, I can see my boy grow up. I can accompany my girl to school, even her CCAs. So it's um it's quite a journey, I would say, for a period of like only 2.5 years. Yeah. So today I can even help, or empower burnout mothers with time, which like me was previously lost due to work, to regain really precious quality moments by guiding them to build a digital business that is, a very successful digital business of their own. So in a sense, the quality of our life really depend on the quality of our decision at times, I feel. And this quote that I really love is, grief and resilience live together.
That's
Mm,
so true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it touches me a lot because I can be grieving, I can be crying, but if I sit there and do nothing, nothing will
yeah.
change. Right. So
This quote speaks how I felt as well. That period when I was going through that
Mm,
grief of hearing the bad news from doctor, but
mm,
still you need that strength to leave, to move on as well. Yeah, I feel
yeah,
you. I mean,
yeah. I mean my goosebumps are now like, all over. Because like when you read like grief and resilience live together, when you don't go through anything like tough, you will not
mm,
be able to gel them up together. You'll feel that, oh, there's
exactly.
just determination, your perseverance. But when you are grieving and you need to make a decision to make yourself better so that it's all for your kids, then you will really understand what this quote actually means.
Yes, you will feel it. If not, you'll probably just read it off and you think it's just another quote, right?
Yes.
But if you've been through that, you really can feel, wow, it's just like a short quote, right? Three, four, 5 words, but it speaks 100%
Yes.
deep, into our heart, like what
yeah.
we've went through in our life.
Yeah. I guess
Thank
it's
you. Yeah.
you. I mean, from you, I mean, Maybelline and Jeline, I mean, there are very different perspective and different story to why, your online business blossom or started. So on my part, it's really just, I just needed that stability and security, and things happen. Yeah. So I really urge
And
everyone, who is online now or watching the replay to really relook at what you want in life.
Mm. And I
thank you
realized
for
that,
sharing. Yeah.
I realized that after I mean, it has only been a short 3 months since I graduated, or rather
Yeah.
upgraded from a working mother in the corporate world
Yes.
to a stay-home mom.
Congratulations.
And like I always tell people, right, the kind of I'm still adapting, even though I just passed my probation period by my new bosses, but I'm still adapting because the kind of busyness and the kind of tiredness that you feel is on a different level compared to when you are working hard in the corporate world. But I learned something throughout this whole transitional phase, that at work, even after we have left our positions, like for Mabel, for Irene, for myself, after we leave our positions, we will be replaced very easily within a short period of time, like 1-2 months, when they get a replacement for us. And that's how easily, or rather how we are not that needed, in that corporate world, because they can easily find a replacement for you. But when
Yes.
it comes to our children, our family, and they are our whys in starting this business, we cannot be replaced. We are the only mother that they have. So that is what I learned after I came, to being my own boss, that, I'm glad I made that shift, or rather I started the business 2 over years ago, working on it alongside my full-time job. I'm glad I paved that way towards, where I am now, because at the end of the day, I will be replaced by, if I work in any position or in any job. But to my children, I cannot be replaced. I'm the only mommy they have. So I'm glad I made that change.
Exactly. And don't get us wrong, we are not saying that holding a corporate job is no good. There are
Yeah, yeah,
also
yeah, yeah,
good
yeah.
corporate companies out there who prioritize mothers, giving them that kind of balance that they should be when they're at home, respecting that time. But ultimately, all of us here at this stage of our motherhood, where our children are still young, they are still our focus and priority at this stage. It doesn't mean that years down the road, we may not go back to maybe we will
Mm,
still go back to the corporate, because when our children grow up, they have their own life, they have their own friends. When they are
will be done.
teenagers, they may not want mothers anymore. That's when then we will start into looking at things for ourselves again. We may then look back to going back to the corporate again if by then Lao Kok Kok still got people want to hire us, lah, right?
Again,
Otherwise, then,
yeah,
yeah.
actually,
Otherwise,
I do agree with you. I mean, I
yeah.
really agree with Maybelline because actually I think it's a Taurus problem because you know why?
It's so
Because
coincidentally, so 巧that
it
tonight the three of us presenting are all
Taurus.
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 The problem
Yes.
is, okay, when people say that yes, like, don't get us wrong, that are really good corporate companies. The company that I
Mm,
was working for was fantastic, but the problem lies with us because we cannot detach ourselves from work. And like
correct.
how Mabel have actually shared just now that she rather, resign than to take out that position when she cannot deliver her 100%.
Mm,
Right. So that is a torrent
Yes.
problem, I feel, because
yes.
yeah,
That
when
was
I
why I
was
quit my very last job. So
yeah, when I was working, I always felt that I cannot detach myself, and that's why I'm always close behind doors, to finish out my work. Instead of just, hey, sorry, I need to go.
Yeah.
We cannot do that.
Cannot. Yeah, we
mm,
Yeah.
just cannot. 你像拿人家的钱就要 deliver, right? Just
yes,
like you mentioned that job.
I will make your
If
money worth.
我的 Yeah, like we make your money, like hiring us make us like, I'm an asset for you. So that's why when I couldn't deliver 100%, I'd rather not have it because
Yeah.
to me, it doesn't look good on me as well, right? Reputation is really priceless. So if the people here in Maybelline at this position, wow, this is the kind of work that she deliver, the standard is like that only, then that will affect me, like, reputation in the hotel industry. I rather
Yeah,
not have it because until I'm able to give my 100% and make sure I do it well. Yeah, I think
yeah, we
you're
are that
right,
kind that
Irene.
要做就做碎碎 that kind.
Yes, if not 就不要做 right?
呀，
要做就不要做
don't mind 做做碎碎。
yeah,
And like,
爱做 yeah, exactly. Correct, correct. Yeah, I think that is a strength, I think that's a
yeah,
Mm,
strength. I don't see that,
definitely.
like, yeah, yeah. We don't want to like also take free money, easy money, or ride on people's empathy on us. Like in my case, because they are nice to let me work from home. But the fact is, I cannot deliver, I also don't feel good, right?
We
Accepting
also
the
paiseh.
money. Also paiseh, exactly. Yeah, that's us. Yes, I'm so happy that we kind of like pointed out, yeah, it's all us, our expectation of ourselves. We want to do the
We are
best
too hard on ourselves, I
in
feel.
everything that we want. We want to be a best mom, we want to be a best employee, best wife, best daughter, everything we want to be the best. But the thing is, it gets heavy, We must learn to hold and release. What is not so important now at this stage, let go. Focus on what is now, and then, next stage of our life, what is more important, then look at it again. There must be a hold and release kind of motion. Otherwise, we will just be too tired and burnt out.
Like kids,
Yeah.
they have to regulate themselves, right? Regulate their emotions. Same thing, I think, for adults. We need to regulate ourselves.
Yes.
Yes.
True. That's
I
right.
agree very strongly.
Yeah.
It's such a
We are.
nice women's night tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really
Friday
feel
night.
empowered. I'm not sure about the viewers, but I'm glad we did this because I myself feel empowered listening to the both of you, even though it's not the first time that I've heard both your stories. But every time I hear it again, it brings a different set of emotions. I can feel it so strongly. So thank you for sharing. It's really a night of empowering.
Yes. It's
you.
really woman empowering woman. Thank you,
Yes.
ladies.
Thank you, ladies, and thank you to our viewers.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
We
you,
hope you're
and
still here with us.
Yeah, we are right on time. 11:54, just 6 minutes to midnight before we end the
We didn't take the whole day.
Women's Day.
1 hour.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. It's a great
everyone. Good
chat.
night. Yeah, it's a great chat, and good night, and we'll see you again.
Good night.
Bye
Good
bye.
Bye.
night. Have a good weekend.